What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to get into Moto number 2 of the Glen Helen Stopwatch Nationals. If you guys missed Moto number 1, I'd recommend watching that first. It's over on the channel as well. Break down exactly what's going on in that video. But like I said in that video, I'm going to go ahead and do a little bit of commentating over the racing just so you guys have context of what's happened in between the clips. But with that being said, let's get into Moto number 2. Alright, so the gate is down. They're going into the second corner here at the start of the video. I went ahead and did not stand on the start straight because I pretty much missed the entire first lap by doing that the first time. So I got in a better spot for Moto number 2, which unfortunately I could not see the start, but you can see pretty much the rest of the first lap. So if you guys can't already tell, that is Brock Tickle off to the early lead. And then he does have, I believe, Ryder DeFrancisco right behind him. You'll see them all coming down the hill here shortly. So Tickle's off to a pretty commanding start. Then there goes Ryder D right behind him. I believe that's Julian Beaumer in third. And then just a cluster of everyone else behind them. Now a lot of guys that did not finish the first moto did not start the second moto, so no Drake, no Masterpool, and many other riders as well. So as they're coming around to jump over the finish line for the first time, Tickle with a commanding lead, DeFrancisco in second, Beaumer in third. Then I believe that's Derek Kelly, followed by Pierce Brown. And I'm not going to even try to keep up with all these other guys. So now you can see Pierce Brown is starting to close up on Derek Kelly there just a bit. So Kelly got 14th in the first moto, and now he's running in a solid 4th. Definitely trying to get himself vaulted into those paying positions. They're only paying out to the top 10. So I think that's why he was fighting for that. But you can see there, Pierce already got around him. Pierce won the first moto, so you know he was looking to charge up through the field and to try to make up some ground to try to bring home that first place prize. Ryder D is doing pretty good at hanging in there with Tickle, who is on a 450. So pretty good to see that out of him. Hopefully he can maintain that come outdoors. Also, the rumor is that Brock Tickle will be doing a select few motocross rounds on essentially Adam Cianciarulo's bike. So that could be interesting to see as well. So if you guys are wondering what happened to Pierce Brown and why he wasn't in front of Derek Kelly, unfortunately, he went down while he was trying to pass Julian Beaumer right around the start straight area, and he ended up face planting into the lip of a tabletop, and he ended up walking off the track from there. So now that solidifies Derek Kelly into 4th again. and everyone's kind of settling in. Pretty good battle for 5th back there. Looks like Marshall Welton is finally taking control of that. He got 6th in the first moto, so he was trying to solidify himself as a solid top 5 guy. Also, just a little bit back behind him was Dante Oliveira. I don't know if you guys saw him, but he's the KTM rider with the number 1 on his back, and he got 4th in the first moto, so he is definitely trying to move up through the field just a bit. So the 2 rookies are running 2nd and 3rd. Now obviously Beaumer is more of a true rookie than Ryder DeFrancisco, as DeFrancisco pretty much raced in the outdoor series last year. But he was technically a Supercross rookie this year. So things are starting to spread out just a little bit, but luckily we do have a couple of pretty good battles coming up just in a few minutes. Don't want to spoil anything too much, but just know that there is some good battles coming. So just kind of note the gap that everyone has here, as it's not going to stay the same later. Obviously the top 3 are pretty spread out, but they're even more spread out ahead of Derek Kelly in 4th. And then Marshall Welton's kind of commanding a little bit of a lead over that 5th place battle. So around this point in the race is when Ryder D seemed to noticeably start fading. It wasn't super obvious at first, but he did drop anchor a bit around the midpoint in the race. I didn't want to cut out too much of my camera panning, so that way you guys could get a better idea of the gaps between the guys as they're on the track. If you guys are wondering who that number 12 rider is, that was Parker Ross, doing it on the Honda. Also on the 73, the guy that you saw jump off the track earlier in the video, that's Robbie Wageman. So now Welton is starting to close in on Derek Kelly. He definitely closed the gap pretty significantly, and it was looking like he was going to get by. We'll see him as they come back around here. Pretty good battle forms up. So you can see Tickle's about 2 straights ahead depending on what straightaway they are on. So I think he started to go into management mode here. Obviously he's on a 450 and the guy behind him is on a 250. Well, both the guys behind him. If you watch his body language, he wasn't throwing the bike sideways. He wasn't trying to scrub or anything. He would just let off the throttle. So definitely seemed like he went into management mode. Don't think he was giving it 110%, which is fine. He was bringing it home. So back to that Welton and Kelly battle here. Definitely starting to shape up for a good little battle. So Welton closed in on Kelly pretty easily, but right once he got to his back wheel, it seemed like Kelly picked it up a little bit, so I don't know if that was a wake-up call he needed if he got lost in no man's land. Right when that battle was starting to stabilize, we got this battle, so Beaumer really closed up on Rider D, and it looked like they were going to battle pretty hard. They were really going at it, and there was a lot of intensity out of Beaumer right here, which you could see in a minute. He was absolutely sending it. So I was trying to stick with those guys as best I could, but unfortunately, Beaumer got around him in that corner in the back where I couldn't really see it. So he made the pass just after the finish line straight away. And from there, he absolutely set sail and left Rider D in the dust. So I believe this is even still the same lap, just about a half a lap later. And you can already see the gap that's forming ahead of Rider D Francisco. So now you can see Kelly pulled way ahead of Welton. I wasn't sure if he made a mistake. I didn't see him go down or tuck the front or anything, but obviously a much bigger gap. So that battle is pretty much over. Then you could also see Dante Oliveira moved into 6th there. That's Parker Ross in 7th. I believe that's the other Oliveira brother on the KTM. Just showing everyone coming through there. So this is more at the end of the race here. Just letting everyone kind of wind it in, showing you where they're at. Now I believe we're on what should be the last lap here. So you can see Beaumer is still pretty much sending it. Definitely not quite as hard as he was at the beginning of the race. And Tickle is definitely out of touch at this point. Not going to be able to catch up to him. But I was pretty excited to see the intensity and the endurance that he had for, being the second of two 30-minute motos. He was still pushing it pretty hard at the end, and you could see he absolutely gapped Rider D. So excited to see what, these guys could do come outdoors. Obviously, it wasn't a super full field, but still, it's cool to see these guys push it. There was money on the line. So I'm just trying to give you guys a good idea of what's going on. Now, obviously, Welton did kind of fall back into the clutches of these guys here. So that's kind of why I'm wondering if he just burnt himself out. But with that being said, Brock Tickle did end up bringing home the overall win. Rider D Francisco was able to take 2nd overall, followed by Julian Beaumer. As far as the rest of the top 10, in 4th place was Dante Oliveira with a 4.6. Then in 5th was Marshall Welton with a 6.5. Kelly was able to bring home 6th overall. He went 14.4. Parker Ross 7th with a 12.7. Then CJ Bernard in 8th with a 10.10. Mateo Oliveira in 9th with a 13.8. And Romain Pape in 10th, rounding out the paying positions with a 9.13.